Have you ever felt that something greater is guiding your steps? As if certain messages reached you not by chance, but because your soul called them in. The truth is, you are not here by coincidence. Something within you, subtle, yet impossible to ignore, brought you to these words. And what if I told you that this inner discomfort, this restlessness you sometimes can't name, is actually a sign? Your heart already knows. There comes a moment when life stops being a series of random events and reveals itself as an invitation, a call to awaken. You might resist it, distract yourself, postpone, but it doesn't go away. Because that inner voice doesn't shout, it whispers. And today, it's reminding you. You are ready to listen. What would you do if you knew that everything you've lived through until now, every pain, every joy, was preparing you for this exact moment, so that you could finally recognize there is a truer version of yourself waiting to be born? This isn't just another video. It's a meeting arranged by your own essence. And when you reach the end, nothing will be the same, because some questions once asked can no longer be ignored. Are you willing to hear the answer? The quiet nature of transformation. True change never arrives with a bang. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks or dramatic speeches. Instead, it settles in like the sunrise, gentle, inevitable, transforming everything without asking permission. Have you noticed how the greatest insights arise in the simplest moments? A silence between two tasks, a gaze lost on the horizon, that instant when something inside you simply shifts. Make no mistake, this stillness is not passivity. It's the most powerful movement there is. When you stop fighting against yourself, the essential begins to reveal itself. Your masks fall effortlessly, like dry leaves in autumn. And what remains is simply you, not a new self, but the purest version that has always been there, waiting to be recognized. Life tries to teach us this all the time. Look closely. Trees don't force their branches to grow. Rivers don't argue with the riverbed to follow their course. In the same way, your transformation doesn't require brute force, just surrender. You don't need to become someone else. You only need to let go of what was never true. And when that happens, something curious emerges. The past loses its weight. The stories you used to tell about yourself no longer define who you are. They become mere chapters, not the whole saga. And in the space between one page and the next, you find the freedom to simply be. No explanations, no justifications, just existing, at peace with the silent flow of your own evolution. Detachment from the past identity. How many stories are you still carrying as if they were your only truth? That pain that shaped your fears, the mistakes that became labels, the achievements that turned into armor. All those fragments built a narrative, but it doesn't have to be eternal. There comes a moment when you watch your own life as if you're watching an old movie. You recognize the characters, but no longer see yourself on the screen. That distance is not indifference, it's maturity. When we stop defining ourselves by who we used to be, we discover the fertile emptiness where everything can be reborn. The same memories that once hurt now become mere landscapes along the way, no longer rulers of your destiny. You don't deny the past, but you refuse to live in it. Notice the relief that comes when you stop repeating, "This is who I am," and start experimenting with, "This is how I am." Between those two verbs lies a universe of possibilities. Your essence doesn't vanish, it expands. Scars become maps, not prisons, and then the ordinary miracle happens. You give yourself permission to change, without guilt, without explanations, like a river that doesn't apologize for no longer being the spring. The life you've lived was real, but the life ahead of you will be true. Emotional freedom and patterns. How many times have you reacted on autopilot? That burst of anger that feels justified, the anxiety that appears out of nowhere, that knot in your stomach in situations that should already feel familiar. These are echoes of old patterns, not absolute truths. Your emotions do not own you. They are messengers. The secret lies in the space between stimulus and response. In that split second exists all the freedom in the world. It's where you can choose to repeat the same old script or write a new line. At first, it seems impossible. With practice, it becomes second nature. The same situations that used to bring you down now feel like mere wind passing through. Notice how your body reacts when someone touches old wounds. The muscle tension, the shallow breath. They're the trademarks of battles already fought. You don't need to fight those wars anymore. You can simply let the armor rust. When you stop blindly obeying emotional patterns, something magical happens. People around you lose the power to define you. Your days take on new colors. And that critical voice in your head? It gradually lowers its volume until it becomes just a distant whisper. You become the owner of your emotional territory, and nothing in this world is more valuable than that. Transformed relationships. When was the last time you felt a connection that required no effort? Where you didn't have to shrink to fit in or pretend to be accepted? These rare encounters reveal a deep truth. The most nourishing relationships are born when two whole people choose each other, not when two halves try to complete one another. Perhaps before, you sought in others what you lacked in yourself: validation, security, identity. Now, each encounter becomes a clear mirror, reflecting only what already exists within you. The tone of conversations changes. You no longer speak to fill silences, but to share essence. There's no longer a fear of loneliness, only an appreciation for genuine company. Notice how bonds naturally reorganize themselves. Some people drift away, not out of rejection, but because the game of masks has ended. Others come closer, in unexpected ways, drawn by the authenticity you now radiate. The miracle happens when you stop negotiating your worth. Suddenly, being alone is no more frightening than being in bad company. And when love arrives, it doesn't come to save you. It comes to celebrate who you've already become. This is the alchemy of transformed relationships. They don't define you, they reveal you. Emotional independence. There comes a crucial moment when you realize your peace is not at the mercy of others, not in the hands of the person who doesn't reply, nor in the approval you've always sought. This realization doesn't arrive with fireworks. It appears, quietly, like the dawn after a stormy night. Before, every glance from others was a verdict. Now, you carry your own court within. Other people's opinions may still echo, but they no longer pass judgment. You've learned the difference between listening and absorbing, between considering and depending. This freedom is not indifference, it's sovereignty. You still love, still care, but no longer dissolve in the tides of others' moods. Your relationships gain new quality. They're no longer anchors but sails that accompany your navigation. The true miracle happens when you realize you are whole even when alone. Not out of pride or isolation, but because you found within yourself what you once sought in others. And from that fullness the purest bonds are born, not from need, but from conscious choice. Integration of the shadow. Jungian. How many parts of yourself have been banished to the basement of your consciousness? That anger you deny, the fears you hide even from yourself, the desires you judge as unacceptable. All these exiled fragments make up your shadow, and it doesn't go away when you turn your back on it. It lingers, whispering through projections onto others, through disturbing dreams, through behaviors that don't seem like you. The journey is not to defeat these aspects, but to welcome them. When you stop fighting your inner darkness, something extraordinary happens. Those fragments cease to be monsters and become allies. Repressed anger reveals itself as the strength to set healthy boundaries. Rejected fear transforms into an intuitive radar. This is not a celebration of the negative, but a recognition that even what you reject in yourself has purpose. Integrating. The shadow doesn't make you worse, it makes you whole, and from that wholeness springs an authenticity no social mask could ever imitate. You finally stop spending energy keeping parts of yourself in exile. Life flows with less inner friction. The same situations that used to trigger intense reactions now meet a more spacious you, capable of responding, not just reacting. This is the alchemy of the shadow, transforming what was repressed into fuel for your evolution. The new language of love. The love that once shouted now whispers. It no longer needs dramatic vows or constant proof of its existence. It reveals itself in comfortable silences, in the space you give without fear of loss, in the absence of demands. This love is not weak. It's so strong it needs no displays of strength. Have you noticed how relationships change when they're no longer filled with neediness? When two people no longer seek in each other what they lack in themselves, every gesture, every word, every glance gains new purity. There's no more fear of loneliness, only gratitude for true companionship. No more emotional blackmail, just daily choices. This mature love doesn't ask you to dim your light so you don't outshine anyone. On the contrary, it celebrates your light as a beacon that guides without blinding. Conflicts don't disappear, but they lose their power to destroy. They become bridges, not abysses. And when you experience this kind of love, you realize what was always hidden. True love doesn't complete. It expands. It doesn't fill voids. It celebrates the fullness already within. It is the embrace that doesn't imprison, the connection that doesn't suffocate, the meeting of two whole souls who choose to dance together, knowing each can shine on their own. Healthy boundaries and energetic filtering. Setting boundaries is not about building walls, but about drawing the contours of your inner sanctuary. These boundaries allow you to say yes with joy and no without guilt. Have you noticed how certain people make your body tense the moment they enter the room? That physical reaction is your energetic filter at work, showing what deserves to stay in your vital space and what doesn't. Before, you might have swallowed discomfort to avoid hurting others. Now, you realize that true care starts with yourself. Every no said with love is a yes to your integrity. Relationships don't weaken with these boundaries. They grow stronger because they are now built on truth, not silent sacrifice. Your time and energy become sacred resources. You stop watering barren ground and begin nurturing only what blooms naturally. This isn't selfishness, it's practical wisdom. No one can give what they don't have. When you protect your center, everything around you gains new quality. And the most curious part? The clearer your boundaries, the less you need to explain them. The right people simply respect them. The wrong ones step away on their own. And so, without drama, your life organizes itself like a river finding its natural course, flowing powerfully but within healthy banks. Living in alignment. There's a feeling that never lies, that deep calm when your actions are in harmony with your essential self. In those moments, decisions flow effortlessly, as if you were following an inner compass that is always known, the way. That is the taste of alignment, when no longer fighting yourself becomes your new way of navigating the world. Choices are no longer battles between duty and desire. You realize that true wisdom lives precisely in that meeting point between intuition and reason. Your body signals clearly. An opening in the chest when something feels right, a tightness in the stomach when it goes against your truth. Living in alignment doesn't mean a life without challenges, but the certainty that each step, even the difficult ones, is part of a coherent movement. You stop losing yourself in the labyrinth of others' expectations and find the simplicity of being faithful to your own inner melody. When this harmony sets in, life responds with synchronicities. People and opportunities arrive at the right moment. Obstacles still appear, but now you move through them with the serenity of someone who knows they are exactly where they need to be, writing their story from the center, not the edges. Purpose reimagined. What happens when you stop chasing? A purpose as if it were buried treasure and begin to recognize it in every step along the way. You discover that it was never out there waiting to be found, but within, shaping itself with every conscious choice. Your purpose is not a destination, but the way you walk. That obsession with finding your place in the world transforms. You realize you don't need to justify your existence with spectacular achievements. The simple act of living authentically is already a powerful declaration. Every gesture, when aligned with your inner truth, becomes sacred, whether it's planting a garden or soothing a heart. Challenges take on new meaning. What once seemed like obstacles to your destiny now reveal themselves as essential parts, and of the journey. That job that didn't work out, the relationship that ended, all were invisible bricks building the bridge to who you've become. And then the most liberating revelation emerges. Your purpose was never a goal to be reached, but a gift to be unwrapped day by day. It's not in some distant place. It's in how you choose to be here now, fully present in each moment, turning the ordinary into the extraordinary through the quality of your presence. The final invitation. We've arrived at the crossroads, where paths diverge. One leads to the known, familiar, comfortable, predictable. The other opens to unmapped territories of your own evolution. This is not an invitation to follow others' voices, but to listen to that inner melody that keeps playing, even when you try to silence its sound. Everything shared up to this point is a series of beacons, not rules. No one can walk the path for you, but know this: there are others on this road, souls who also chose to awaken, grow, transcend. Together, we form a constellation of seekers, each illuminating a piece of the path for the others. Real transformation never ends. It renews itself with each sunrise, with each choice to live from the center instead of the edges. What you take from here are not ready-made answers, but deeper questions, and the courage to live them fully. And so, with your heart open and your feet grounded, you decide. Return to what you already know, or take the next step on the journey. Home, the one that was never out there, but always within, waiting to be rediscovered. The path is yours. The time is now.